Please.
Yeah. So I was saying that. I needed. The doctors told me I needed open heart surgery to remove the blood clot. So I called my family, and my parents came, and it was an emergency. My oldest son came. I even called my life insurance agent to come to make sure that my life insurance was the way I wanted it, and I went for open heart surgery. 3 days later, I wake up, and I look around. I'm in the ICU. I see my parents there, and my wife. And by the way, I just had a 10-day-old baby at that time, and I was so confused. I didn't know where I was. I didn't understand what was going on, and I see everyone's looking at me like it was unusual. And then the doctor came in and he explained to me what happened. That when they did surgery and they opened my chest and they moved my heart out of the way, made a cut into the pulmonary artery where the blood clot was, they found something else. They didn't find a blood clot. They found a pulmonary artery sarcoma, a very large tumor that had destroyed my right lung completely. It spread and cut off the blood supply. So they had to completely remove my right lung. They had to cut around the tumor in the pulmonary artery and reconstruct it. Because a person needs a pulmonary artery to live. And then they closed me up. Now, this is like the worst cancer on the planet. You know? So here, imagine this. I go to sleep thinking that I have a blood clot that's going to be removed. I wake up, I'm missing a lung, and I'm told I have essentially terminal cancer. Yeah, so that was interesting. And then after a week or so, I came home. I remember seeing my baby. At that point, she was like 2 weeks, a little more than 2 weeks. I was holding her, and the emotions I was feeling were difficult to describe. And I went through a very difficult emotional time. I went through the 5 stages of grieving, if you know what they are. The first is denial, which basically means that this cannot be happening to me. I am the doctor. I tell other people they're sick. This can't be me. Then anger. Then what's called bargaining, you know. Basically, if I was a better person, if I was a better Jew, if I was a better husband, a better father, a better friend, a better doctor, none of this would have happened. Then I became depressed. And then the final stage, which is the most important, I learned what acceptance is. To make shalom with your matzav, which means, and the way I found peace was to realize that I can't control anything, that no one knows how long they're going to live, that every second that I am alive is a gift, and I should concentrate on things that I could control, which is how I think, how I speak, and how I act. But whether or not I'm going to live and whether or not other things are going to happen are not up to me, and it's none of my business, and I shouldn't worry about it. This, by the way, took a lot of work to come to that realization. It's not so easy. And then I went through a year of horrific chemotherapy. And by the way, and this is where it's going to tie into this plague that we're dealing with, there was no treatment for me. There was no known chemotherapy, because this cancer was basically never treated. It was so rare and always found when people were dead. So I was doing research, and I came up with my own idea of how to treat it with a certain drug. And I made an appointment to one of the top oncologists in New York. And when I went to him, I was talking to him, and I said to him, doctor, I had this idea about using this drug. So he says to me, and listen to this very carefully, he says to me, what? I invented that drug. I said, wow, this is, you're the one human being on the planet that I actually need to talk to. And he agreed. He agreed to give it to me in combination with an older drug. And, thank God, it's been 2 years. I still, I had to learn how to walk. I had to learn how to, I couldn't eat. I couldn't, the pain was so severe from the coughing. I was on narcotics. I almost became a drug addict, actually. It was so difficult to regain my strength, learn how to, even just pick up my own child. It was, everything was, you understand that I was the top of my world, right? The top doctor and the king of I built a big business, and now I needed help to take a shower. Because I'll say, from a high roof to a low pit. That's how I felt. And it was very humbling, I have to tell you. So there was a time during that illness when I thought I was going to die. And during that time, I actually wrote 2 books. One book, which is an autobiography, which was really a letter to my kids, letting them know who their father was, because I was afraid that I was going to die and they wouldn't know who I was. And the second was a philosophical book about spiritual dynamics, the soul, how everything is one, essentially. And so when a person thinks that I actually started literally preparing to say goodbye to my children emotionally. And when a person feels that way, he stops fearing other human beings and starts worrying about God. Fearing God. I thought I was going to be meeting him very soon. And it really begins to shake you up because you're going to be standing before the King of Kings, giving an accounting for what you did in your life, good and bad. It's a very surreal, sobering experience, I have to say. Frightening experience. And then God said, I don't want to see you yet. And he decided that I should still be in this world. The proof is that my soul is still in my body. You see? That's how I know he decided that for now. And so I learned 3 things from that experience. I learned, number 1, you have to think out of the box. Just because there's no cure or known treatment, you shouldn't accept that as it has to be that way. You can use your creativity, and with God's help, you'll find an answer, potentially, number 1. Number 2, I learned not to fear any other human beings because, even though I'm alive, but I still look at life from that world into this world, in a sense. That's my frame of reference. And the other is to realize that I'm nothing and everything is from God. Now, how is that relevant? Why did I go on this whole story? This plague is a new plague. There's no treatment for it. I was presented with a problem that I knew that my community, my patients, are going to be hit hard, and I have nothing to offer them except go home and pray. It's not a bad idea, but it's not enough. We still have to make our own shtadlus. We still have to do our own
efforts.
Yeah. So I really tried to find a solution. And God helped me, and I did. That's number 1. Number 2, not being afraid of other human beings comes into it's very useful right now. Because I have a lot of people that don't want me to succeed. Whether it's politically or financially due to drug companies, big pharmaceutical companies, whatever it is. So but that does not stop me. Because I believe that I'm acting on what I believe to be true and to be right. And I put my faith and my fears all to God. And I trust in his providence. I trust in his protection. And number 3, which is very important, that I have nothing to do with this. I did not come up with this treatment. It's not about my ego. I don't need recognition. It's about bringing healing to the world. It's not about making Dr. Zelenko's name known in the world. It's about making God's name known in the world. So this is how I understand. This is how my illness, my cancer, my near-death experience has changed my outlook and really prepared me for this challenge that we're facing now, which is really one of the worst global catastrophes in the history of humanity. The amount of wealth that's been lost in the last 3 months is more, listen to this, than all the wealth that's ever been lost throughout all of humanity. And wealth is important. Wealth is livelihood. It's a person's life's work. It's sustenance. It's vitality. You know how many people have lost everything? How many people are committing suicide from despair? Not only financial despair, but also social isolation. So we need to reopen this world. And getting back to the very beginning of this conversation, you asked me what needs to be done. I'll reiterate it. Please, whoever is listening to this, anyone with any political power, financial power, spiritual power, organizational power, anyone with any power anywhere, please organize and help us out. Come together and make noise in a nonviolent way. Spread the awareness that we need to mass produce hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin, and zinc sulfate. And just as important, create the logistics for the distribution of these medications very quickly, and create the environment where doctors feel safe and pharmacies feel safe in prescribing these medications without the fear of retribution or being sued. And let's prepare for the second wave, which is coming, but it does not have to destroy us. If we do the right thing, we'll get through this just fine.
Dr. Zelenko, I want to thank you, but I also say that I learned from you as well another lesson, and the lesson is of faith and resilience, that even in the face of kind of death penalty of the diagnosis, you became creative and you made an effort. You did not come to terms with inevitable, but rather you wanted to make an effort. I think the effort you were making is an expression of your faith. Similarly, here, you did not give in to the fact that no one knows what to do. You wanted to do it. So where did this come from?
It's the love for life. The love for my own life, honestly. And I have one lung. I'm still on chemotherapy. I'm not a person that should get this infection. You understand? So I have skin in the game. But besides that, I have a wife. I have 8 children. I have my parents. I have friends. I have you, Rabbi. I have people that I care about that I don't want them to get hurt. And more globally, I am part of the Jewish nation. I don't want any of my people. And more globally than that, I'm part of the human race. And why should anyone in the human race suffer unnecessarily? Life is precious.
So you're sending a message of love that inspires faith and creativity and resilience.
I guess so. But life is. I'm a doctor. I've seen over my career, a lot of things, and a lot of good things, and a lot of death, and personally I've lived through it, and I've got really sensitized to how precious it is, the opportunity to breathe, and the opportunity to just be, the opportunity to even reflect and think about the divine, and the opportunity to connect with people that love you and you love them, and to help other people. Life is beautiful. It's priceless.
especially when you're living your life to the fullest and you're fulfilling your purpose.
Listen, I view every minute of my life as a bonus, you understand? And even though no one knows how long they have to live, but I'm really aware of that, you understand? I try not to think about the statistics. I try not to think about, scientifically. I went to the doctors. They told me, it doesn't look too good to me. I never, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, I learned something from him. He said, a doctor's not allowed to take away hope from someone. A doctor's not allowed to say, I don't know how, you have 3 months to live. That's not his business. The business of the doctor is to say, I'm going to try to be a partner with God and try to help you relieve your pain and try to help you the best I can. And only God decides how long you're going to live. And there's a Talmud says, even if the sword is lying on your neck, you shouldn't give up and you should pray. And the sword was on my neck. It already made a little cut too. And I just listened to those words. Don't give up. Anything can happen. God controls how long you're going to live. And I still feel this way every day. So I really try not to take time, I try not to waste time and take things for granted. And I try to use every moment in the right way. And by the way, my priorities changed also. I try to spend a lot more time with the people I love. I don't care so much about the acquisition of material wealth. 3 years ago, 4 years ago, if someone would tell me I would be a candidate for the Nobel Prize in medicine, I would be walking around with a big ego. Now it means absolutely nothing to me. I just want to spend minutes with my wife and my children, who I love, my parents, friends. So when a person goes through major trauma like this, one thing happens: they realize what's important and what's not important. And that's exactly what's happening to the world right now. The world has been shut down. The world has been traumatized by fear and by such a historic a crisis of biblical proportion that people don't even know what to do with themselves. And what that's resulted in, I've observed, is a lot of people started looking into themselves, into their souls, analyzing their lives, making decisions about what's not so important and what's really important. And I think it's caused the world to grow up, both emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually.
I want to thank you so much. First of all, I want to take this as a blessing for the world to emerge from this crisis renewed and purified. And my blessings to you that by helping so many people in humanity and your community, God should give you, Hashem should give you health, and you should enjoy your family, the ones you love, for many, many years and decades, and you should continue treating patients and give them life and health. Thank you so, so much.
Amen, Rabbi. Thank you so much.
All the best to you. Thank you.